Do you ever get that feeling when something just doesn't sit right, like you're watching all these scandals unravel, and one name keeps popping up almost conveniently? That name lately is Tyler Perry. Yeah, the same guy who built a billion-dollar empire from Place and Films and has that massive studio in Atlanta. But now people are starting to look at him differently, and it's not just random speculation. This heat realist started turning up when Monique came forward again, not just calling out Diddy but dragging Tyler Perry straight into that fire. Now Monique has always been that bold voice in Hollywood, the one who doesn't hold back even if it costs her gigs. And back in the day when she spoke out about being black, beloved people either brushed it off or quietly nodded. But now she's saying that it wasn't just some career politics, it was Avalon system meant to shut her down, and at the center of it, Tyler Perry. She says he wasn't just complicit, he was leading the charge, all while playing for Diddy behind the scenes. According to her, this wasn't just a brother being difficult to work with. In fact, she flipped the whole narrative and said Tyler never even worked with her, so how does someone who's never collaborated with her get to say she's a problem? That's what she asked out loud publicly, and people listened this time because Diddy's drama was already cracking open Hollywood facade. See, Manana claims it's not blackballing, it's whiteballing, different kind of silencing done by powerful black folks in Hollywood who, in her words, didn't have the guts to stand for what's right. And who did? She nama Tyler Perry, Lee Daniels, and even Oprah has been whispered about in those circles. But Tyler, man, he's the one catching the most heat now, mostly best of how close he's always been with Diddy. Now we all know Diddy's in our whirlwind of legal chaos right now, from disturbing lawsuits to whispered rumors of hidden tapes and exclusive parties that no one wants to talk about. And in that mix, Tyler Perry's name has started coming up more than folks are raising. He's not just an inner center stander, he might be involved, like on tape involved. People are talking about handlers' rituals, even alleged trafficking links that suddenly lined up a little too perfectly when Tyler randomly popped up in a human trafficking PSA. That timing super Suzanne. Let's not forget, Diddy and Tyler weren't just Hollywood buddies, they were business collaborators paired together at high-profile events, teaming up to buy bet and always showing public support. So when whisper started flying that Tyler might have been helping Diddy behind the scenes, maybe providing models for parties or looking the other way, people weren't shocked. They were just like, yeah, we knew something was off. Even Chris Rock chimed in once, calling out how Tyler's movies always portray darker kind minus the villain or abuser. He even joked that if Tupac were alive, he'd probably be cast as the toxic boyfriend in a Tyler Perry movie. That wasn't just a Joe-bot casting choices, that was a deeper cut, like, yo, what's this guy really about? No, where's the thing? Tyler's always dodged questions about his personal life. Theremas have swirled for years. He's denied them all, of course, but people say his vibe, the types of actors he hires, characters he writes, they're not random, they're patterns clear, now picking apart in a whole new light. And with Diddy's empire crumbling, some believe he might throw Tyler under the bus just to save himself. Tyler Perry built his brand on redemption stories about broken families finding healing, about women overcoming trauma, about faith and forgiveness. But now people are wondering, was that all affront? Because behind the scenes, it's looking more and more like the man preaching morality might have been playing a double game. The Tyler Perry veron sees on magazine covers and talk shows, that's the polished version. The version you don't see might be a whole different story. Let's talk about those parties, the infamous Diddy parties. For years they were whispered about like urban legends, invitation only, high security, beautiful people and no cameras allowed. But now that Diddy's former bodyguard Gene Deal is starting to talk, some of those whispers are turning into real concern. Gene said there were ways of the names involved, big names ya wouldn't expect, and one of the names that keeps getting brought up in that inner circle is Tyler Perry. There's even talk that the feds might have found video evidence from one of those events, something involving Diddy and other people of interest. Guess who allegedly showed up in one of those clips? Yet Allah. That's the word on the street, and people aren't just brushing that off anymore. Not with Diddy whole empire under investigation, not with so many lawsuits flying left and right. Suddenly Vionis reevaluating who was in those rooms and why. But this goes beyond just parties. Let's get into business. Back in 2023, Diddy, Tyler Perry and Byron were all in a race to buy a controlling stake in Bet. That move looked like a power play on the surface, three black billionaires trying to take ownership of a major black media outlet. But now people are revisiting that moment and asking, was there something going on beneath the surface? Was that deal really about elevating black voices, or was it about consolidating Krenar over who gets to say what in entertainment? And here's the twist. While Diddy was emailing CEOs and pitching partnerships left and right, Tyler was already inside the system, his studio was sopped and running his content ways already. He didn't need to hustle like Diddy, he had influence. A bet if Monarchy is to be believed, Hewant, using that influence to lift others, he was using it to keep certain people out, people like her, people who spoke too loudly or challenged the system. It's wild because Monarchy's not only one who's hinted at this, there's been quiet talk in comedy circles, in film circles, about how Tyler's success might have come at the cost of others, people who were once rising stars but suddenly disappeared after a disagreement or bad deal, and when they tried to speak up, doors closed, scripts stopped coming, their names vanished from call sheets, almost like Simeon Powerful had made a quiet phone call. And then there's the human trafficking angle. This part's tricky, nobody's saying Tyler Perry is guilty of anything directly, but the timing of that PSA, the carefully crafted message, it didn't land the way it was supposed to. Instead of reassuring the public, it set off alarms. Why now? Why this message? Why him? Especially when the rumors had already started bubbling. It felt more like a PR move than a genuine call to action. People aren't dumb, they're starting to notice the patterns. The overlaps, some names always showing up together, same whispers floating around different cities, and when you pair all that with the sheer weight of what's happening to Diddy, it's no wonder folks are looking at Tyler with fresh eyes, because if Diddy goes down, there's a real chance he won't go alone. The court of public opinion is a dangerous place, especially when receipts start dropping. Monique says she's got them, and she's not bluffing. The whispers about Tyler Perry aren't staying whispers anymore. Screenshots, recordings, name drops during interviews, even leaked messages, all starting to surface like bodies floating to the top. And the thing about Monique, Chess never needed a PR team to speak for her. She's loud, direct, and when people listen, she's already laid it all out. How powerful black figures in Hollywood tried to silence her, how she wasn't blackballed but whiteballed, how she was punished not by the system alone but by people who looked like her, who's all have had her back. Tyler Perry, she says, was one of the architects of that silence. He didn't need to say her Namito shut doors, he just had to stay quiet. It mattered that silence Monarchy's it betrayal. Meanwhile, Diddy's facing a legal earthquake, civil lawsuits, federal investigations, and more potential charges still looming. His team's in full survival mode. That's when M start getting offered up. Us bargaining chips. Word is he's ready to point fingers, and in his circle of longtime allies, Tyler Perry's name is reportedly one of the most valuable records in his deck. That bet deal, the studio collaborations, the shared appearances, it paints a clear picture. If prosecutors are not in Tyler's favor, no, Tyler's team has been scrambling. You can see it in how fast stories are been denied, wiped, rewarded. That old blog postoding him disappeared. That boondocksapized poking fun at his image quietly morphed from rotation. But the internet never forgets. People are stitching together every piece, the suspicious casting patterns, the way he avoids addressing the deeper stuff. It's all being evaluated under this new light. Evan fans are torn. Some are still defending him, saying it's all speculation that Tyler is being targeted just for being black and successful, but others aren't so sure anymore. There's just too much smoke, and in Hollywood, when there's smoke, there's almost always a fire. It doesn't help that a few other celebrities are now quietly distancing themselves, unfollowing him on socials, not showing up to his events, skipping over his name in interviews. That kind of cold shoulder doesn't happen unless then something we don't. The industry has a way of protecting its own until their ship starts to sink. Then it's every man himself. Tyler's public image was built on faith, family, and empowerment. That's what made him relatable. That's what made audiences trust him. But what happens when that image cracks? What happens when the man behind Medetta turns out to be connected to something darker? People who once celebrated him are watching closely, waiting, wondering, because if even half of what's been said is true, if Tyler really was playing both sides, helping Diddy while preaching virtue, using his power not to uplift Buto suppressed, then this is way bigger than only scandal. It's about how deep the rock goes in Hollywood, about how many people smiled on stage while covering up everything backstage. Monique's not backing down, and if Diddy spills what people think he might, Tyler Perry could be facing the kind of fallout no PR team can clean up. This isn't just about reputation anymore. This is about legacy, about truth, and maybe finally about accountability. Because when the walls start closing in, only the truth can keep the roof from caving, and for Tyler Perry, time might be running